Welcome to the Palisades Foundation. In this video, we'll be talking about how to set up the Pattoo autonomous agent that will then be posting data to the central Pattoo API server. So the very first thing that we need to do is to go to the Palisades Foundation's website at GitHub, and that's github.com Palisades Foundation. And the only reason why we're doing this is just to give you context as to what we're trying to do, how to get to the documentation, and then how to actually get to work on the particular agent and get it to post the data. So if you go to the Palisades Foundation's GitHub account, you will see that there are a number of repositories, and you'll see that there's a Pattoo agents repository. If you go and click on that link, what you will see is a link to the documentation. And from there, if you click on that, you'll get to the documentation, and there'll be listings of information about the various types of Pattoo repositories that are out there. And so here we have Pattoo, and then we have Pattoo agents, and you'll click on this link to get to the Pattoo documentation. And so when you click on that link, you come here, which is what we've seen before when we were doing the installation of the Pattoo agents package in the beginning. But now we're going one step further. We are now going to get one of the agents actually started. And if you go and look in the left-hand column here, you will see agent documentation, the Pattoo operating system autonomous agent. Now this one is the one that we're going to be working on. And the reason for this is because this is one of the easiest ones to configure. And so when you click on this link, you will get all the agent information. As you scroll further down, you'll see information on installation, which we've done already, and you'll see information related to setting up the environmental variable that we've been doing all along. If you know how to set up an environmental variable permanently, I suggest that you do it when you're working with Pattoo, or else you're going to have to do it every single time that you log in. And there are ways in which you can do that. In the Linux environment, you'll make a reference to it in your bash rc file or your bash underscore profile file. But we're just going to do it manually once again, just to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this exportation. And our configuration directory, as we had mentioned before, is in /opt/demo/etc. And if you want to make sure that that is set, you can type the env command and then pipe that through grep and look for Pattoo config.dir, and it should be there. Great. All right, so let's go back to the documentation and see what else we need to do. Now, each of the Pattoo agents has its own configuration file because each agent may be doing different things. One agent may be a web scraper, another one may be doing stock prices, another one may be looking at operating system performance metrics. And in this particular case, that's what Pattoo or agent OS Autonomous D does. It looks at systems information and sends it to the central Pattoo server. And so it acts as an autonomous agent. So on whichever Linux system it's running, it will automatically send the data back to the central Pattoo server. There are other agents such as the hub and spoke agent, in which the central hub pulls information from the various remote Linux systems that are running the spoke agent and then gets that information back. But the autonomous one works completely all by itself and sends the information in the other direction from the remote host to the central hub all by themselves without prompting. All right. And so the general configuration uh, naming convention for these files is that you name them with the name of the agent and then a .yaml. And so this is going to be placed, this particular file is going to be placed inside the uh, Pattoo underscore config.dir directory so that the agent knows exactly where to go to. Okay, so we're going to create this, and then we're going to put this information in here. We're going to have a YAML file, and inside of it we're going to have this particular tag, and then underneath it we're going to have the polling interval. And so that means every 300 seconds the agent is going to wake up and send the information to the central server. So let's create this file really quickly. So We're going to copy this and we're going to vi slash etc. create that file. And then we're just going to take this same information that we have here and put it in that file. We're going to make it pull the information every 300 seconds. All done. And now we're going to go and try and get this started. And so how do you do that? Well, you go into the Pattoo agents directory, cd Pattoo agents. And when you look inside there, well, if you just do a general look, using the ls command, you'll see that there's a bin directory. And so let's take a look at what's going on inside the bin directory. So ls bin, and here you will see a number of Pattoo agents listed. And the one that we're most interested in is this particular one here. So we're going to do bin slash the name of the autonomous file. And when we run it, it's going to give us a message. It says, I need a little more information. And what's that information? Well, it's start, stop, the status. You can restart it or you can force to restart it. And let's show you what it's actually doing behind the scenes. So before we start, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cd slash opt slash demo, and we're going to take a look, and there's a log file directory. So let's do an ls of log. Let me make this a little bigger for you so that you can see it. And we are going to tail -f log pattoo.log. All right. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to tail -f log pattoo API log. Why are we doing this? This is the log that's going to be the log file that's going to keep track of all the HTTP posts and gets that are happening. And then this log file is the one that's going to be keeping track of all the communication behind the scenes. So let's just take a look at that. These two files are always interesting to take a look at. So as you can see, nothing is happening yet. And now we're going to run the same command, --start. And how do we know that it started? We do the same thing with status. It says that it's running. Let's double check here. And look, you can see that it says in the log file, daemon Pattoo agent OS autonomous D started. This is the PID file that is being used. And then it's also sent to the API, which is running on port 2021. And it's been received, and it's going to be put into the database very shortly. So before we take a look at the database and the process that runs to ingest the data into the database, let's take a look at the location of the data that has been sent to the central API. So we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to take a look in the cache directory. So let's do an ls of cache, and you'll see that we have two directories. One of them is the one that is dedicated to the agent that we've just created. And as you can see here, that's 3837 ABC. This is what has been posted. You can see here that 3D377, the same file, has been sent in the other log file. And you can see here that we have a directory here. But actually, this directory is just used just in case there is no communication with the API. So under normal circumstances, this directory should be empty, as you can see when we do an ls. But the data is received by the central Pattoo server. So if you do an ls of cache Pattoo API agent D, you will see a file with the name of the timestamp and a file that starts with the same agent ID and then a random number. And so if we take a look at the contents of this file, let's just take a look at this. Let's just cat that file, cat that, right? You'll see the data that's there. And this is the information that is being sent related to the the server that has been that's been sending the information to the central server. Now I'm going to clear this information one more time, and I want to sort of explain to you what's happening behind the scenes. So if I do an ls of the same cache directory, you will see that they have this directory as we mentioned before, and you have the Pattoo API agent D. Now, under normal circumstances, in some cases, at least not necessarily normal circumstances, you would have the API running on a separate server from the agent that's running the information or getting the information in some cases. And so in this particular case, they're running on the same machine, which is why you have the API cache information in the same directory or the same subdirectory as the information for the agent that's sending information to the central API. In certain circumstances when they're separate, these directories would be in different directories on different servers. But in this particular case, just for the purposes of the demo, we have it in the same location. All right. So information is actually inside the cache directory. And how do we get it into the database? Well, what we showed before is that if you looked here, there's information that talks about in the same log file that says that there's a process that's running that's taking a look at the ingest cache. And the ingest cache is the same directory that we just spoke about, this directory, the opt demo Pattoo API agent D directory. And so what's happening is that there's a job called the ingester, and every so often it pulls the data out of that directory and then puts it into the database. And there will be logging information related to that. We will discuss the ingester and the way it works in another video, but for now, just know that there's an ingester that handles information and puts it into the database. That's all for now. We've just shown you that the agents run, that the agents send data to the central API server, and that there is a process that runs to take the data from the cache files and put it into the database. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about the ingester shortly, as I mentioned before, and then we'll also be talking about how to get the web app running, which will take the data, use the API of the Pattoo server, and present that data to you in a web page. Thank you.